I remember seeing at least a dozen, 15 or more beers that had shifted either up 20 or 30 places or down 20 or 30 places.
Yep.
With the mic and chatting news on all things beer. Joined by Phil, Dan, Matt, or anyone else to join the cheer. Hiker Brewing is where we chat, cause it's where good beers are at. So pour it out.
Alright, I think that's enough. How you doing, mate?
We just started.
We just start. No, it's just 100%. That's how you going.
I'm very good, Adzi. How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. So for people who are regulars of the podcast and who don't know your voice, Phil and Dan are busy today, and you were here with us doing beer judging this morning. Who are you?
Yes, I'm Hendo, and I am a pro brewer coach at the Rockstar Brewer Academy, and we do my podcast, so it's good to be on yours.
Yeah, we do chat a lot, and man, I'm just proud to have you on here, and this is a little bit more loose than...
Well, I just happened to be here today because we were checking out some beers to be entered into the Royal Queensland Beer Awards, and
which are coming up in February.
Coming up next month, exactly, and had a few local brewers who wanted to make sure that their beers were being entered in the right classes, and whether there was anything major going wrong, and it was good. It was a good session.
It was really good. There were a lot of good beers. There were a lot of good suggestions back and forth, and
good excuse to have a beer on a Tuesday.
100%. And as always, which is always the case, when a whole bunch of brewers get together to taste their beers, there was a lot of good respect and feedback back and forth as well, which is one of the hallmarks and things that I really enjoy about the industry more than anything else. I don't know about you, but that's
good,
for me.
Good, open, honest feedback. Exactly. It was really important, because when you are giving feedback to a peer in the industry, it's very common to hold back. And
it's easy, right? Because you don't want to hurt their feelings.
You don't want to hurt
you
someone's feelings, that sort of thing. But I prefer to just sort of tell things like they are. You'll notice that when I do taste beers, I don't look at the person. I sort of go in my own mind.
The computer.
I'm not looking at the computer necessarily, but I'm just basically I'm focusing on what I saw, smelled, and tasted.
Yes.
And I'll just talk out what's in my mind.
Well, you make it subjective rather than personal.
Correct. Yeah. Objective. Subjective is like, that beer sucks, but I'm not going to do that.
No, well, we don't do that either.
Yeah.
Unless we really know someone, want to throw them at them and go, this is shit, mate. And we don't do that. Mate, before we get too far into it, I want to shout out to our sponsors who are here every week and love us. Bintani, Craft Punks Canning, Convoy Kegs, Rutlings Labels and Stickers, and of course Hiker Brewing. This is where Phil normally goes concern, because it is concerning, but Phil's not here, and they've kind of changed the business message anyway to be Hiker Brewing Company, but it doesn't matter anyway. They're a massive sponsor of ours. They've let us have our beers today, so yeah.
What are we going to talk about today, mate?
First cab off the rank is Aussie Beer Voyage News, which is our first video interview of the year, dropped on Sunday, Australia Day, which with Reese from Carbon 6 Brewing. What did you think?
I thought it was good. The dog loved it as well.
It's a dog-friendly brewery here. If you didn't know, that's a bit of marketing there.
I thought it was good. I was over at Reese's Brewery just before Christmas, took the TAFE students on a field trip over there. And he's got a very interesting setup, and he wears a lot of hats.
Yeah, it's very different to a lot of other breweries around the place.
He wears a lot of hats, but the thing is that it's early days for him, and we just tried a whole bunch of the beers just now, and they're banging. It's like to go into your first competition. I think Reese and Carbon 6 can go into the Royal Queensland Beer Awards knowing that they put together a pretty good campaign, knowing that it's also the first, and that the idea of entering a beer competition is you do it for the feedback.
Yep.
And
it's not the glory.
No.
Like the glory comes afterwards. The best thing that you're wanting to do when you're into the beer awards is that feedback, so that
if you get a medal or if you get a trophy, that's a good thing.
Yep.
But if you get the feedback, that's your primary.
If you can get the feedback and improve your beer, the judges aren't coming into your bar every single week drinking your beer and judging it and putting their hard-earned money across the customers are. And if you can improve that beer for the customers to make their money, right, that's where your income is.
Yes.
So that's where the improvements are going to come from.
Indeed. Indeed.
I love going to judging. I love judging beer. I love the whole scope around. You and I have chatted about it on.
We're going to get you over to Japan this year.
Yeah, so many different things to do. So yeah. But mate, yeah. So yeah, the first episode dropped on Australia Day on Sunday. You can find it on YouTube. Carbon 6 video, and then we've got a lot of cool chats coming up. So I mentioned last week we chatted to Joss from Hop On Brewing,
cool.
which took like 3 hours because Joss and I, she talks a shitload, I talk a shitload. She doesn't shut up. And then we talked to Jazza from Precinct, which was an awesome chat as well.
Yeah, God, he does some good beers.
He has excellent beers, and yeah, I really love. I'm ashamed that I actually, well, not ashamed, but it's disappointing that I don't get down to the Gold Coast as much to enjoy some of these beers.
That's because the M1's
because it's not that far away. Yeah, it's not that far away, but it's a pain in the arse. It's like going to the sunny coast. Yeah. Mate, you were at Hiker East Brisbane on Saturday, gone for the GABS Hottest 100 countdown.
Yeah, it was good to get in there and chip in and collect glasses for you.
Oh, mate, thank you very much. Yeah. So, for those who don't know, a bit of an in-joke. The first time that Hendo came back to order his second beer, he left his glass on the table and he's come up to classic hospitality. And I'm serving bar, obviously. I was the only person there, and he's just come up, ordered his beer. And then afterwards I walked back to the table and just picked up his glass and said, "Thanks, mate, you could have brought that up to the bar." And you know what? It worked, because he didn't leave his glass on the table since then. And he picked up a number of glasses around to bring up to the bar afterwards. So, beer tenders who are out there, you're welcome. Hendo will now take his glass up to the bar and he'll collect glasses. And it was an in-joke for the whole day.
It was a good Hottest 100 though. It was very different to previous years. I really enjoyed the unpredictability of it this year.
There were a lot of movements, wasn't there? There was a lot of beers that jumped up very high. There were a lot of beers that dropped
way down too.
Yeah.
You know, we saw this year. I remember seeing at least a dozen, 15 or more beers that had shifted either up 20 or 30 places or down 20 or 30 places. Yep. You don't see that very often. And
there were a lot of takeaways that I took away from that too. So I wasn't looking so much at the beers themselves, but more at the marketing efforts of the breweries or lack thereof, or just what people were able to do. I mean, a lot of us are small businesses, and a lot of us are just trying to get ahead and to do what we can, right? And so, I know internally what we have done here at Hiker is we pushed Horizon a lot. That's the beer that we chose this year.
Good strategy.
To push and go.
Yep.
And Cloudscapes was number 52 last year. It didn't even feature in the Hottest 100, and we're waiting for the new list to come out to see if it was in the 100 to 200.
Oh, yes.
Or if it was in the top 100 indie beers. We don't know.
Yep.
Until that list comes out. But Horizon got all the way up to 38. But then that damn dog, I'm going to strangle it. Byron knows. See, he's going fucking taking the dog outside. But it's more. I don't know if you remember last year, and this is, I'm not throwing dispersions or clouds on anyone, I'm just picking names, right? So, Modus, there was nothing from Modus.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, so there was nothing from Modus. A lot of the Lion beers dropped out.
Lion got
quite
heavily.
Cooper's was
went up with it like a rocket.
Turbo thing.
I think it was really interesting to see. What my observation was absolutely with Lion. You'll always see 150 lashes get somewhere around the 40s or 50s or something like that, and do pretty well. But and that's been like a stayer sort of thing. But as far as the other Lion beers in the Hottest 100, I'm pretty sure they mostly dropped. And probably the most noticeable one was Stonewood Pacific Ale dropping out of the top 10.
Yes.
And I think that's the first time I can recall that Stonewood Pacific Ale has not been in the top 10.
Well, it's more like when you see it come up at the number that it did, you're like, oh shit.
Well, as soon as
If
that
this
happened,
is-
it was like, you start thinking, well, shit, if that's dropped out, what's moved into the top 10? You know?
Yep.
And so I was surprised to see Cooper's Pale get into the number 2 position.
Yep.
What was that one drop beer that got in at number 10?
I can't
sour
remember the
beer or
name.
something
Yeah,
like that.
but yeah,
which we haven't had because it sounds like a seasonal beer.
Yes,
Obviously got a lot of hype and that sort of thing. Things like, I think Young Henry's dropped out of the top 10. Newtown had dropped out of the top 10.
Something for me that dropped down.
Beachy Pale dropped out of the top 10.
Something that I noticed, and as I said, only because I look at these things and try to judge them more for, well, this is my job, to analyse and look at these things, right? But Moffat Beach Passenger dropped like 44 points.
Wow, yeah.
Down to like 56 or something. I
Yeah.
can't remember where it dropped down to.
Yep.
And I remember last year they did a huge media push. They did a big, Scotty, how you going, mate? There's a huge push for Passenger with Moffat Beach. It was like their first year that they really did a lot of marketing and push to get up there. And then they dropped like 44 points. Whereas like we pushed Horizon quite hard and we got it up to 38. But was it enough? I don't know. We had an awesome video from celebrity comedian Matt O'Kine. Helped us out, which was fantastic.
Do you want to know something funny about Matt
He's still in our cold room, by the way.
Do you want to know something funny about Matt O'Kine?
Yeah, always.
Is I've got this, when, remember back like in 2015 when Milk and Two Sugars won the GABS People's Choice? I've got this awesome photo of me and Matt O'Kine at Sydney GABS.
Yeah.
Because he's such a beer fan.
He's a massive beer fan. He comes in here quite often. He loves his beer. He knows his beer, which is also good to know, right? Like, you don't just want some hyped up celebrity just drinking your beer.
No, he's a fan. He
He's
just
a
loves
massive
good beer.
fan and he loves good beer, yeah.
It was good seeing him. I was like, funny when you got him. I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
He just loves good beer, so he's
yeah.
funny too.
So, no, I think there's going to be a lot to come from this Hottest 100, but I also think what I'm most excited about is the next lists that get released, like the 100 to 200. Because I reckon that's normally where you find a lot of the beers that were so close.
Yes.
A lot of the ancillary beers, like maybe the second or third beers that breweries were pushing. The new beers, and then the top 100 indie beers.
Yes.
So they're great lists and a lot of insight.
Yeah, that'll come out over the course of this week, I would imagine. So
yeah, pretty exciting. Looking forward to that.
Very. Congrats on the number 38 too.
Mate, I'm pretty proud of Horizon to where we got it. Like, we had no marketing budget or anything like that, so we're pretty stoked to get to where we did on a national poll. It's a pride thing, and our party was excellent. Like,
it means you got good loyal fans of Hiker Brewing Co. I voted for it.
yeah. Well, we didn't even have, like, at the tap room where we held our party, it wasn't even packed. Like, there was someone probably on almost every table, but it wasn't packed. If it was packed, it would have been a fantastic atmosphere and day. But the atmosphere and day was already fantastic. So many people were in there.
Yes.
And they weren't all just drinking Horizon, they were drinking all of our beers. I ran out of 2 different beers and had to throw on some part kegs that I had stashed out the back with the Adam beer.
That's the one.
The other one from your other podcast, the Boston Brewer that you used to do. So, yeah, pretty stoked. It was a great day.
Very cool.
Mate, I'm surprised that we didn't hear anything from you from this too much about White Bay and Hawkers. You're good friends with Mazen.
And ATS as well.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, they might tell you stuff in confidence too, so we don't know that. But, White Bay and Hawkers, what do you reckon about that merger?
I didn't know anything about this in advance. But I think it's a great fit because I know the type of business person that ATS Adam Tripp-Smith from White Bay is.
Yep.
And how good an operator he is in this industry as a business person in the craft brewing industry. And Mazen being the same, and I have always admired and respected both of them as individuals, but now that got announced, I can sort of play back through my mind every time that I've seen those two guys
and they've said
hanging
something
out.
Here and there.
Well, no, they didn't say anything, but just their rapport was always really good, and they always had this, and still have, Mazen and ATS always have a mutual respect for each other.
Yep.
You know, like I remember being over in, I think it was Bangkok or Ho Chi Minh City for a Brew Asia conference.
Yes.
I think it was Ho Chi Minh City.
Yeah, yes, it was. Yep.
And seeing them and seeing how they interact with each other, how they have a beer with each other, and there was always this rapport, this commonality, this sort of firm sort of belief in that there was always something good in the industry. And so to hear that being announced, I was not surprised. A lot of people were surprised, but I just went. I was more like,
that makes sense.
Good fit.
yeah. I think
I
think it caught a lot of people off guard because, well, Hawkers are just coming out of VA. They're still doing what they're doing right, and White Bay seem to be screaming ahead in their locale. But I reckon it's a good fit. And I was saying to you last week, we were talking about this, and it seems to be the breweries that are in the upper echelon that have a huge national footprint and are able to generate that income and that marketability to be able to sell national and do all that stuff. And then the brewers such as Hiker, Helios, Slipstream, all these us little ones that we all try and stay under that excise cap. That small local brewery and that large national brewery, that gap, like if you're in that chasm of that middle brewery,
yeah, exactly.
You're kind of hurting.
I agree.
You need to sort of decide where you're at.
The medium-sized breweries that are into distribution are the ones that are struggling at the moment. You know, case in point with Kaiju going into VA last week or the week before last.
I saw Callum Reeves had to step down from his position. I didn't think that he did, reading the charter and the IBA.
It's only as a charter. I just don't think you can be a director of a business when your company's involved in administration. So I'll stand corrected on that if that's the case, or maybe just Cal just decided to step down. But it would make sense if that was the case. But the thing is, right, is that you have a look at most of the recent VAs. They have all been breweries that have been very heavily invested in the distribution side of things. They're the breweries that are selling into bottle shops, selling into Dan Murphy's, selling into Liquorland and BWS and that sort of thing. And, from a business perspective, they're the hardest customers to have because it's hard to get the shelf space to get in there. Yep. And then when you get in there...
Well, it costs you a lot of money to get in there.
It costs you money to get in there, and then you have to support the two majors to stay there.
Yep.
Whether that's setting up tastings or in-store marketing or something like that, or price discounting, which is the most common one.
Corflutes over bollards, posters, any sort of
in-store. It's always the two six-packs for $35.
It's not just getting your beer to them.
No, that's right.
There's all this ancillary
and then on
stuff.
top of that, so the margins are really, really slim when you're in the major supermarkets. But the other thing that's really challenging is their payment terms are very, very long. It could be anywhere from 60, 90 up to 120 days, sometimes more. And so that's the thing, you're basically becoming a bank for the major supermarkets. And so that's hard in that respect. And then also the other thing is the excise side of things, in that you have to pay the excise when the beer leaves the bonded area. So the excise is getting paid before the beer appears on the shelf in the liquor store.
And that tail can go for months.
Correct, yeah. If you're not getting paid for 120 days, you paid the excise, right? Which is almost 50% of the cost of production. So to carry that sort of debt, that what's owed to you, what you owe and what is owed to you, is a very big burden for any business. And why I don't do it anymore.
No, and that's one of the reasons why I love the Hiker approach, which is where
sell the beer over the bar.
Super vertically focused. If anything we can do in house that we do. We've got 2 venues. That's where we sell our beer. You can buy our beer on the website.
It's like, there's your beer, give me your money.
That's it.
Yep. That's right. So it's tough. But I think it's a good fit, and I wish the White Bay and the Hawkers crew, nothing but the best of that, because I think it's a really good fit.
Do you reckon there will be a rebrand in there, or do you reckon they're just going to keep them separate and they're just going to use the power of each to like brew and Hawk as the White Bay beers, so that they stop
Hawkers,
the carbon miles, or like what's the...
No, so I think that the strategy, and I might be completely wrong, is that like I know ATS's the way that he thinks about the brewing business is he wants to be extremely vertically integrated. He wants to have tap rooms, he wants to do distribution, and he wants to do contract brewing as part of the mix.
Yep.
Right? And it spreads your risk and all that sort of stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
And so
you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket.
Hawkers is predominantly a contract brewer.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Most of their volume is contract brewing.
Right.
And so I think that the fit there is that the White Bay gets a contract brewing facility to add to that sort of an additional revenue stream, and Hawkers gets the backing of a company that has venues and established distribution, that sort of thing. Whether the beers get brewed in each other's breweries and all that sort of stuff, let's see. But I think
it's more the actual
for two medium-sized
business
breweries,
structure itself
it's a very good fit.
Yeah,
it's a very good fit.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be cool.
Yeah, it's a good thing for the industry.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think it'll happen more? Do you think that we're going to see some more mergers rather than business closing down?
No.
Why is that?
I don't think there's anyone left to merge. If it does happen, and I'll be happy to be proven wrong if that's the case, no, there'll be no the majors won't buy another brewery in Australia for a very, very long time unless they get extremely big. But that's got to be a challenge in unto itself. Yeah. No. This sort of thing's pretty rare.
Do you reckon the majors have put in a... have they put in an offer to Coopers? Like, do you reckon they've already done
it? It's been done
many
times,
100%. And they just keep...
But so the thing is that the Coopers, and I can see that's on our list of things to talk
it's
about
our next thing to talk about. Yeah,
so Coopers has in its company constitution now that they can't, because as each generation of the Cooper family comes along, there are more of them.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, so there's more voices on the board.
They have sorted that so they can't be sold to majors.
Yeah.
Unless they all agree to it.
Yep. Well, that's never going to happen.
It's not never say never.
Oh, I reckon
but
it is.
There is, but there's some very strict rules that Coopers have within their own constitution about who they can sell their shares to. Because that actually happened. So Lion tried over the years to buy Coopers.
Yeah, right.
And what they were doing was they were trying to get a little bit at a time. They would go to a great-grandchild or something like that, and they would have 1 or 2%. It's like, we'll have that, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, here's a few $100,000.
Can we have that? And then like that. And they're trying to nibble it off.
Yeah.
But that's all been nipped in the bud now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So on Coopers,
Dr. Tim
Cooper retires.
Have you met him?
I haven't met him. I would love to meet him. I reckon he has. He would have some knowledge. He would have some stories. He would have all sorts of amazing aspects to share. You obviously have.
I did. I met him at the Royal the beer and barbecue festival at Adelaide.
Yep.
And so I'm good mates with Dave Medlin, who's the head technical brewer at Coopers, right?
Yep.
And he was coming over to beer and barbecue, and Coopers had a big brand activation there and that sort of thing. And
which in Adelaide you would expect,
of course,
right? That's where they're from.
And I was like, oh, I really want to meet Dr. Tim. And Dave goes, no worries, mate, I'll sort you out, because they work together, right? And
for him,
and
it's
I
just
had
Tim.
I had in my mind that Dr. Tim was going to be this very knowledgeable, prim and proper kind of guy. And my father, so the father's side of the family is from South Australia, and my father always shared a story with me about how his father, my grandfather, who I never met because he passed away before I was born. My dad's from this little town called Farrell Flat, which is kind of halfway between Clare and Burra in Clare Valley sort of thing. Yeah. And when my father was born, just after World War II, he recounted a story of my grandfather worked as a road worker for the local council. Yep. Like patching up roads and stuff like that. And he said that on payday, my grandfather would go to the general store in Farrell Flat. There's a population of like 52 people.
Yeah.
And he would buy one Torley of Cooper's.
Sparkling?
No, because the beer was different then.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it was like a 7.5%, 8%-ish.
Oh, wow,
Cooper's,
okay.
right?
Yeah, wow.
But what would happen is at home, he would have in the ice box, and it wasn't an electric fridge, it was an ice box with ice, he would have 2 Torleys, which would be half full with water.
Yeah, you keep hitting the desk, and that's going
to Oh, sorry.
The microphone. I don't mind.
And
but
so,
this will be
and
like...
so basically, so for the price of one Torley, one warm Torley, he would actually get 2 cold Torleys.
Well, that's pretty good.
Well, he was cheap.
Yeah.
And so,
that's not cheap. That's thinking.
And I was like, and I wanted to talk to Dr. Tim about that. And I thought that Dr. Tim was going to be this prim and proper kind of guy and that sort of thing. But I went and but Dave Medlin introduced me to Dr. Tim, and Dr. Tim was just this classic Aussie yobbo. He goes, "G'day, mate. There you go."
Want a beer?
I was just like blown away by his accent to start with and that sort of thing. And I tried to recount this story. He goes, "Nah, mate, I don't recall that at all. But I can get the guys to go and have a look in the history archives and that sort of thing." And I'm like,
it'll be there.
I was just like, what? And so maybe so. And I don't think this existed. If Dr. Tim doesn't believe that it existed, then I would say that it was never a thing.
Someone's telling a tall story.
Well, my grandfather was just a cheap bastard.
Oh dear. What do you reckon he's going to do out of retirement? Do you reckon he's going to travel? Like, he'd be on a pretty good wicket running the company. He'd taste some pretty good beer. I reckon he gets to go around and drink some good beer anyway. Like, aside from the day-to-day and running the actual business stuff, he's retiring. Is he just going to beer holiday, or is he going to... What's he doing?
I don't know. He's very... I mean, like... With Cooper family is very much a family-oriented business, so I would imagine there's probably going to be a lot of effort on family.
Yeah. Well, they like to promote with him, but they also don't like to you don't get the job just because you're a Cooper. You've got to go out into the world and find what you're going to do to help the business before you come back.
Who's taken over?
I don't know that there's anything set in stone just yet.
They just said he's retired.
Yeah.
But it's amazing.
Passing the torch to Michael Shearer. So he's been the Cooper's GM for the past 6 years. So
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So Cooper's a very interesting company because, like, it is a beer company. It has a maltings now.
Yep. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
and
a lot of their business comes
from
the
brew
maltings
house
because that malt goes to a lot of the big.
Well, going to the brew house at Cooper's, they have a big brew house with the mash press and stuff like that, and you can see the maltings over the other side, and there's a malt bridge.
Yeah.
They bring the malt over straight from the malting into the brew house.
It's
insane. So cool.
Yeah.
And then they do all the homebrew stuff as well.
And they've just opened that huge, big new multi-million-dollar experience.
The restaurant there and tap room and stuff like that. They've got the big one at the airport too.
It's got to be one of Australia's most successful companies. I would think. Like, it's pretty awesome.
At least with beer, that's still. It's still
family owned,
not foreign owned. It's still Australian. There's a lot of people who say that Cooper's isn't independent, and there are a lot of the South Australian brewers who don't like Cooper's because Cooper's operate very similar to Lion and CUB with tap contracts and stuff like that.
They kind of need to in their own backyard.
But I don't think that you can deny that Cooper's has a very, very deep history in the Australian beer industry, that it remains independent and it remains family owned, and I think that is special. And on top of that as well, the style of beer that Cooper's Pale and Cooper's more importantly Cooper's Sparkling is a style of beer that is uniquely Australian.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
We don't have in Australia. We don't have a beer history, right? If you go back to the first fleet, first settlers of the Botany Bay settlement and that sort of thing, we didn't drink. When people in the first settlers wanted to drink beer, it would have to be tankered out from England.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't grow barley and we couldn't grow hops for a very long time. So our drink of choice as a nation was rum.
Yeah.
because we could grow a shitload of sugarcane. We had the climate for it.
Go the Bundy.
Right?
In a circle.
Here's a really interesting. You know the other crop that we could grow in Australia as well?
Do tell.
Tomatoes.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So some of the early beers, not Cooper's necessarily, but I've read some fascinating beer history books about how in Australia we couldn't get the hops to bitter the beer, so we would use tomato stalks.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I used to dry the tomato leaves from Mum's tomato plants in my microwave and sell it as pot at school. That's an insight.
There you go.
Mum doesn't listen to this, so we're
So,
good.
I can't remember the name of the book, but I recall vividly reading that when I was on campus at Federation University in Ballarat about that, and I was just like, that's fascinating.
It is fascinating.
And that's part of our history, you know. And so the fact that we have a very uniquely Australian style of beer is something that needs to be treasured and preserved.
Oh, definitely.
You know?
Yeah.
So people can bash Coopers all they want, that sort of thing, and maybe their business practices don't line up with, you know, currently what a lot of people would agree with, and that sort of thing. But most definitely, it's Australian and deserves a unique place in our history.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it needs to be talked about. We could probably talk about Coopers all day, but
Watch me.
The scary thing that's happening next month. I saw you post a story on it the other day.
Today. It was today.
Oh, was it today? Yeah. Excise beer tax is increasing.
Yes.
People are going to be paying for the pint.
Yeah. So this is the 2 times a year where the mainstream media like news.com.au or something like that will go. Well, the price of a schooner is going up by 40 cents or something like that.
It's clickbait. They know that people will click on it because people want to drink beer and people will be
forget. Right, so what's happening is on the 1st of February and the 1st of August is the 2 dates of the year where the excise rate gets indexed and the excise will go up, and I'm pretty sure we would know what that's going to be.
Yeah.
Because it'll be on the ATO website. They usually publish it 2 or 3 months beforehand. It's based on the CPI on discretional spending and that sort of thing. And
it's consumer price index, so they know the data.
It's not. No. It's a subset of the CPI.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just the discretional spending part of the CPI. So we know what the percentage is going to be. We know the excise is going to go up, and it always happens on the 1st of February and the 1st of August. So every time you see that article in the mainstream media about how price of a schooner is going to go up, 12 cents. We know, it happens, and that was my shit post of the day. Was basically, it was like the Game of Thrones memes, like winter is coming. Is like,
I gotta say,
excise rates are coming.
There's a little bit of an old meme. I'm pretty sure Game of Thrones, the winter is coming. That was 10 years ago. You need a new meme.
I like that meme.
Yeah, I know.
It suited it.
Yeah, but you're old. My friend, there was a article on VinePair. I normally find a whole bunch of weird things on this website. The 10 weirdest beer names of all time.
Wow. What do you got?
I've got no idea. I haven't actually read the article, and I want to see. Let's go through them together, and let's see how weird they are.
The 10 weirdest beer names of all time.
All right. So, Burial Beer Co. I once left my mind in a bed study. In a bed stew juice bar.
Bed stew juice bar.
Yeah, I don't
that's
really
weird.
know that. Yeah, that's fucking weird. Duclaw Brewing Company. Sour Me Unicorn Farts. Call me weird, but that can actually looks kind of cool.
Yeah,
I like that can art.
Well,
that's
not cool. Often you see a unicorn farting.
No. Well, that's also too. Evil Genius Beer Co. Purple Monkey Dishwasher.
Okay, that's just random words now.
Peanut butter porter.
That's just random words.
That's just an AI. Yeah, they've no thought. Even the label on that is just nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, Evil Twin Brewing, New York City. Hey Dad, did you change the password on a Disney Plus account? My ex-girlfriend is trying to use it and can't get in. Have you had many Evil Twin beers?
I've met Yeppy a few times.
Right.
Yeah.
One of my very first craft beer experiences was with an Evil Twin beer.
Which one?
What's it called? Lil Bro.
Okay.
The 12% Imperial Stout or something.
Yeah.
It came over, it was at Archive for Armageddon.
Yes.
And stupid me, this was 11 years ago. I'm a single man. I was going to a beer festival at Armageddon, and you had to go to Armageddon. You got to buy tickets. before you can get the beers,
Yeah.
right? So you get all your tickets. So you buy like
Yes,
$50 worth of tickets and then hand over your tickets. And I'm going through the booklet and I picked out the beers that I wanted and I told the bar chick, and she's bought all my beers and she told me the price, and I was like, oh, that's less than I was expecting. She must like me. I reckon I'm in. And I've given her the tickets, and I was like feeling pretty chuffed. And I've walked back to my table. None of my mates had got to the festival yet. I got to 10:30 in the morning. If the festival starts at 10:30 for a beer thing, I'm there at 10:30, man.
Good.
I was there. I was ready to go. I had my beer thing, and I picked up this Evil Twin Lil Bro, which in my mind cost me 12 tickets, but with all of my beers, she only took like 9 tickets, and I was like, I'm winning here. Not only good start, hot bird at the bar, thinks I'm all right.
Yeah.
Drinking my beers, and I picked up this beer, and I had a taste, and I was like, holy shit. I'm looking at this beer, and I was like, wow. And I looked at the booklet. Oh no, ABV was 12%.
Okay, right.
I wasn't.
Good way to start the day.
I had no idea with the tickets. The tickets had nothing to do correlation with the ABV.
You don't see...
And I'll never forget that beer, just because of that.
Well, there's the thing
stupid
that
encounter.
is that you don't see the Evil Twin beers here in Australia very much anymore.
I don't think you see a lot of those sort of beers, like American beers, anymore, because a lot of Australian breweries...
The distributors are not around anymore and that sort of thing. So, funny story, I actually picked up Yeppy from Brisbane Airport in the Como.
Yeah. Oh, really? The old white collar.
Bruce Vegas, right? And I was with Adam Betts, who was distributing his beer at the time and that sort of thing. And obviously coming from New York, it's a long flight from New York to Brisbane, that sort of thing is...
You got to fly to LA or Dallas and then...
Yeah, exactly. You know, and refuel or change planes or something like that. And he was an interesting character because, like, he didn't say much, and he just got in the car and he was just like... All he wanted to do was to go to the hotel, and he just looked at his phone, he just didn't care and all that sort of stuff. He had a few comments to say about a few things, but I was just like, oh, this guy doesn't say much at all. It's like really weird. He wasn't really excited to be in Brisbane in a new country. Like, even though you might be jet lagged, you'll still be like, oh, it's so good to be here. I'm excited to be here.
I'll turn it on just because I'm here.
And he didn't give a fuck.
Well, when he went to the event, did he give a shit? Like, did he sort of see it?
But only to the people who are really like hardcore, like beer geeks and stuff like that, you know. And lovely guy. I'm not knocking the guy around. He's just got a very unique personality.
That's just how he is. Moving on. Gigantic Brewing Company. The cat ate my stash and pissed on the Christmas tree.
Jesus Christ.
Intergalactic Dad Pants. Double Potato Spaghetti Town.
Other half. I like other half. They're good.
Yeah.
Double Potato Spaghetti Brown. What does that even mean?
I don't know.
It's
countless IPAs named after food items over the years.
Broccoli, bagel, schmear, Gouda, hot dog.
Well, they're just calling things, right?
We really don't know why it's called this either.
Yeah.
I like the Vale. I'm Derek Yetta. Okay.
Yeah. Thirsty Planet Brewing Company. A hot mess inside a dumpster fire inside a train wreck.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Well, look,
sounds like some
look
of
at
my
the bottle.
exes.
It doesn't even have. Someone's had a mouthful out of that before the photo. Youngblood. The John Wick of cheeseburgers.
What? What does that even mean?
Yeah, I don't even know.
That's weird.
Anyway.
Yep. Okay. That article
wins.
wins.
The weirdest beer names.
That wins.
100%. Mate, next beer. Beers in space. So, I used to grow chilies, and I know that the Chinese sent chili seeds up into space, and there's 5 varieties that grew really well, and when they brought them back to Earth, they grew differently.
Mm-hmm.
There's Helix Nebula, which now is a super long chili that grows in a super spiral. It's really hot. There's Solar Flare. There's all these sorts of chilies. Like chili, well, not just chili, space changes organisms, right? And I know that there's been some yeast experiments, but there's this article, which I haven't opened, which is hence why we're just filling time. Brewdog, Denver and Urban Sky send Galaxy hops to the edge of space and then brew Urban Galaxy IPA. So this is an American brew company.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. It's a Scottish brew company in America with a US-based thing that have sent Galaxy hops right up to the edge of space,
right?
Just to see what they're doing.
Okay. Did they brew the beer near space, or...?
No, so they sent
They
Galaxy
sent the hops up to space.
To launch the hops aboard Auburn Sky's micro balloon. So the hops were flash frozen and exposed to zero gravity conditions, and they put it into a black IPA.
Okay. Don't do a black IPA with Galaxy. It's not. I've tried it. It tastes like vanilla.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's not good at all.
Why do you think? Is it the...
Carafile.
Yeah? Just doesn't work.
It's a vanilla flavour under certain circumstances.
Yeah.
I did... Remember, like, the 4 Pines did the space beer, the space stout, years and years ago?
Yep.
That won a fucking trophy at the AIBAs, mate.
Yeah. Do you think it'd be a thing that we're... Like, it's like, this is obviously a gimmick and people would be going there just to try this beer, but do you think it's a thing that some people would be into just because of what's happened to it? Like, they've sent it up and letting it go?
Yes, it's a gimmick, but it's fun. Have fun.
Yeah. That's what craft beer is, right?
Yeah, have fun.
Yeah. Other one, man. Dry January and non-alc is reshaping the craft beer market. Do you think that that's happening?
I wouldn't know because I do neither of those things.
Me either. No, Phil drinks a lot of non-alc. He does an 11k hike every day.
Yeah.
At the moment,
he's doing 8. He said 8 to 11k's.
Yeah. He's been doing it every day this year so far, and his plan is to stick to it. Do you think that Dry January has an impact on businesses, like hospitality businesses overall?
A little, but not a lot, because tap rooms in capital cities usually get a little bit quiet in the first half or most of January and that sort of thing because people go on holidays, right? But the regional breweries, and I speak to some of my clients who are regional breweries, they're crushing it at the moment, right? Because they're part of the holiday destination, that sort of thing, but highly seasonal, so it's really peaky and really trophy.
Yep.
Does Dry January have an impact? Nah.
I don't think so.
Nah, negligible.
Yep. Mate, last one I've got is Dogfish Head launches social media offensive.
Okay. I like Dogfish Head.
Yeah, so they're not a really independent anymore. They're now sold.
Yeah. Well, technically they're still craft as far as the US definition goes.
Yes, 100%.
Because they're owned by Sam Adams.
Yeah. But they leaned into Quitter's Day. So in the US, there's a day for everything. You can get a day for everything. There's peanut butter sandwich day over there, all sorts of stuff.
Like Fairy Bread Day.
Yeah. Oh, well, I invented Fairy Day. And then beer can chicken day, actually.
Beer can chicken day. You invented that.
I've invented that.
Yeah.
I own the URL. It's happening. And it's in 2 weeks. Phil gets back from Bali.
Yeah, right.
It's on the 18th of Feb. It's Tuesday, 18th of February.
Oh, good.
We're going to cook a beer can chicken here on a barbecue.
Okay.
On a barbecue provided by Brendan, one of our long-time fans. He's built us a barbecue inside of a beer keg.
Okay.
Like a keg.
Yeah.
He's welded and done everything. It's got like a door. It's like super cool. He's tested it and everything.
Cool.
So yeah, beer can chicken day is a thing. I bought the beer can chicken thing off Amazon to do so.
All right.
And we're probably going to do 2 beer can chickens here on the day. You can. Good. I haven't set up an event here yet, but you can watch this space on Hiker Brewing Co. at Salisbury here, and you can come along to beer can chicken day and try 2 different beers with 2 different beer cans, and you can judge for yourself.
Sounds good.
Whether or not it happens. So beer days can be invented, and So
what's Quitter's Day?
Quitter's Day. It's the second Friday in January, and it's the day that marks when as many as 80% of people have abandoned their New Year's resolutions. So that's when they're like,
okay,
they've got the shits. They're like, you know what? I'm out. I've tried hard.
Oh, I noticed that at the gym. It's like at the start of January, the gym was absolutely packed, but you make it to the middle of the month and it's back to normal.
That's right. Yeah. So Quitter's Day was on the second Friday in January.
Makes sense.
But yeah, so Dogfish Head have done a huge big social media thing around it. They did a 30-minute light IPA, which was the unofficial beer for Quitter's Day. And yeah, I think it's just something fun and good and just promotes fun stuff in the
100%.
industry.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Mate, that's it for new stuff. Normally, Phil and I will chew the fat on something hiker based or anything. But
that was we just did a session today. We checked a lot of beers for the Royal Queensland Beer Awards. That's coming up in a couple of weeks. I have completely messed up I've double booked my calendar badly.
Oh no!
I found out today. So I committed to my last year's TAFE students that I would be at their graduation because I've never done a graduation ceremony before.
Yep.
And it's at the same time as the orientation for the Royal Queensland Beer Awards. So
and I know which is going to take priority. Has to be the orientation at the Beer Awards, right?
No.
Oh wow!
I'm going to commit to the students.
You're going to commit to the students?
I'm going to promise to them. Yeah.
Wow.
Of course. Well, it was I got Shaco who can cover me for that session, and so the graduation ceremonies are 2 p.m. I'll have a couple of beers, and I'll come to the after drinks after the orientation.
Where's the graduation going?
It'll be at South Bank campus.
Yeah. But then afterwards, where are they going to go?
Tipplers.
Oh yeah. And then the orientation. When we're all done the orientation, where are we all going to go?
I don't know. It's probably going to be
Felons
or something like that. It'd be Felons as well. I don't know yet.
We all end up at the same place.
I made a promise to my students that I would I
love that you're
be
holding
there
a
for
promise.
them. Oh, that's important, And I found that out this morning because Matty brought it to my attention. I was like, shit, that's.
Yeah.
You know when you make fuck-ups in your schedule and that sort of thing, you go, man, I really messed up. But I've committed to the students.
Well, I remember on our...
Shaco's fine.
On our field trip day, we all made it to Felons and COVID was still around.
Yes.
And COVID lockdowns came and we're all like, no, and you came out and disappointed everyone.
Because there was the lockdown called on that morning.
So you got to go home because you got to be home before 6 p.m. because the lockdown's on. And we're all like, oh, well, this sucks, but okay. And then we all started going, where's the pub? So we left and we all started walking down a new farm, and you lived in New Farm at the time.
Yes.
And you're walking down the street and we're like, holy shit, that's Hendo. We all turned around and walked away, and you sent me a text with a photo of me saying,
I busted you at the...
You're supposed to go home.
At the Brunswick Hotel.
That's right. Oh dear. Oh, what a fun day. Well, we stayed out anyway until we were allowed. Shout out to Stu and Dave and
that's it.
Had a great time. And Mikey was there as well. We all still talk about that day. We'll go, remember that day we got caught by Hendo and walking near his house.
Never mind.
Oh dear. Mate, thank you very much for chatting today.
Thanks
Phil and
for having
Dan are
me,
busy. Dan's still canning and Phil's walking around.
He's still at the bar. He's doing all right. It's always good to be here. And if you are a... Can I plug my show?
Plug what you need to plug, my friend.
So Adsy and I do another show called Quality Focused Pro Brewers. So if you are a professional brewer and you like all technical brewing content, come and listen to Adsy and I gas bag about that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's way more serious than this, and it's not also always me. Every 2 weeks,
I'll
get
a guest speaker, that sort of thing,
to chat about it. I actually listened to Matty Cuthbert, about brewing the best lager the other week. That was a great episode. I actually messaged him straight after. I was like, oh man, that was super insightful.
Crushed in the stats.
Yeah. Yep.
So it was good. Matty's a good operator, so it was good. So if you want to feel like, if you're a brewer, you feel like listening to that. If you're not a brewer, don't listen to it because it's going to go over your head.
Yeah. Even it's not designed for home brewers, but there is a lot of nuggets in
there
for
home
brewers as well.
Sort of thing,
It's just something to listen to. If you're super nerdy and into your brewing, home brewers will love it. But
indeed,
it is for pro brewers. So very, very good. Hey, thanks again. And
Too easy.
Cheers and pour it out.
Thanks, mate.
Take a hike. I have to do all the fills.
Do we start the music now?
I think it's time for a beer.